This is Fighting Spirit, Heart of the Swarm Edition, and spawning in the top right-hand position as the yellow Terran from CJ Entis, it's Bbyong.
His opponent, he is the latest addition to the team, EGTL, spawning as the blue Terran. His name is Alive.
And boy, does he look alive and ever this game, because he's not dead, he's actually in a booth playing StarCraft. You have to have a pretty alive brain for that. Now, of course, guys, this is Fighting Spirit, a staple in the Brood War map scene, still played today by people who are still playing Brood War. But in StarCraft2, there have been a few changes to it. Probably one of the biggest ones is that there's only one assimilator in the main base. Now, in StarCraft2, of course, generally, you have 2 assimilators per base. In StarCraft1, it was only 1, but the assimilator in the main base for the Heart of the Swarm version of the map actually gives you 8 gas per trip when you mine from there. So a lot of builds are revolved around getting that fast gas and using it to get your tech out a little bit faster.
In fact, this map went through many changes since the beta. I don't know if you guys followed the beta map testing, but this map used to have a few gold minerals inside the main base and a high yield gas. I actually tested it, and you were getting so much income for so many less workers, so it was great in the beginning, but you couldn't manage all the resources from some time throughout the game, so that's why they reverted back to the 8 minerals and only gold patch in the middle of the base.
Exactly, so the map has changed a lot. It shows that Kespa is willing to try to, go the extra mile. They want to see how much they can push the boundaries for maps and how they can affect the game. And I got to say that I love that they're trying to, keep the map pool extremely fresh.
So I might be butchering this name, but Obakazen actually asked why is there only 1 match instead of 2 today, and that's because the sports season started back in Korea, and SPL TV, they're doing StarCraft right now, but also it is a sports television station, so they have to cast the baseball later today. We could have done 2 casts, but we had to start at 12 o'clock and possibly cutting off short because of baseball. So that's why we decided to do only 1, because Korean viewers, we want them to see the full match instead of cutting off somewhere in the middle of the second match.
Yeah, guys, so unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But, better to see some of the matches and have them cut off and all of them eventually played, and then to have matches cut off in the middle. That's kind of takes it out of an awesome mindset. It's just got a weird feel to it. But let's go ahead and focus on the game here now. We have a command center being built by Bbyong, and Alive is going for the factory tech. Both players are opening with some Reapers here, though, and we have seen 2 now, I believe, for our EGTL player here.
Well, Alive is getting the starport out also, so he wants to go for the tech. Actually, he's getting a Widow Mine, so it's possible that he's going to use the Widow Mine to be defensive or even go for a Widow Mine drop.
Yeah, now, look at how smart this is. Alive, he's keeping those 2 Reapers in his base, and I think he's waiting for it. Holy crap, both players are doing the exact same strategy.
Yeah, the only difference is that Bbyong is looking more ahead towards the mid game, getting the command center and getting the factory out. So his game plan, if you just take out the economy, it's gonna be a few seconds later than what Alive is going to do. If Bbyong actually defends the attack from Alive, then he's gonna be so far ahead. He already has a command center up. His opponent didn't even start the command center. In fact, Alive has to do some critical damage with his drop.
I still can't get over how smart it is for both players to make 2 Reapers and have them positioned at that location. It's going to prevent scouting from them. But oh, look at this. The 2 Reapers moving into the base here, but there are 2 Marines in addition to that Reaper, so they should be able to easily defend. Uh-oh, that Reaper does get picked off there, so a little bit of miss micro by Alive. Bbyong taking a slight advantage there, but he doesn't have anything at home to defend against these Widow Mines and that Reaper.
Whoa, the Widow Mines, why was it turning back? The medevac needs to go for the main base right now, because if you give Bbyong too much time, he could actually have a lot of units to defend against the Widow Mine. The Viking is out on the way for Alive, and so for Bbyong. But let's see how he actually defends against this Widow Mine.
I'm curious to see it looks like the Hellions, they're moving in here, but no, they're not going to be there in time. Widow Mines dropping. There is no response. Oh, how many shots are they going to get off? So many getting killed off there. 6 being picked off, and one of the Widow Mines even getting lifted off, and it's going to fight another day, or I guess blow something up another day.
You know, if his reaction was half a second late, all those red SCVs would have died.
Exactly, and he still lost some of them.
You know what I'm a little bit disappointed about? Alive only had 2 Widow Mines in there. If he had maybe 1 or 2 Hellions, those red SCVs, they would have gotten toasted no matter what.
Yeah, just a little bit of extra DPS in there could have made all the difference. We have 2 more Widow Mines being sent over across the map from Alive. It looks like he wants to put them in that medevac there and go for another drop on Bbyong's base here. Now, Bbyong, he has 1 more SCV than Alive, and he also has that command center already built here. So as long as he stabilizes here and doesn't lose any more critical damage, he should be okay. The Widow Mines, it looks like they're going to burrow around that siege tank, and that's going to allow him to snipe that off quite easily here. And the siege tank goes down, but we have a scan. It's going to kill off those Widow Mines.
Now, he does have the few Marines, but that's enough Hellions and the Marines and 1 siege tank behind. So I think that wasn't the greatest decision for Alive. Instead, he should look out for the SCVs because he's so behind the economy. That's the reason why he's going for the quick 3rd command center to catch up and be ahead of his opponent.
Yeah, getting that 3rd command center certainly important here. It's so important that Alive stays in this game from an economic standpoint because at this point he has lost a good amount of units. His command center was later. He did do some damage early on, but it wasn't a critical amount of damage that he needed to do.
Yeah, in fact, I could still say that Bbyong, even after losing 6 SCVs, he wasn't in any bad position.
No.
You know, if he lost the red SCVs, then it would have been a different story. Now, we do have a Hellion going inside the main base, but Bbyong doesn't want to waste any scans against the Widow Mines, and it is also going to work against the Cloak Banshees, but he also needs to make sure that he saves the SCVs.
Yeah, so pulling those SCVs back, that Banshee just going to be annoying at this point. The Cloak has completed, so that Banshee will be able to Cloak to get out of there and survive the damage from those Vikings as long as a scan doesn't go down. Scan going down, but that Banshee, it's going to get away. And essentially, Bbyong just wasted that scan. Not necessarily the best scan in Viking control there, unfortunately, but, you know, his defense is still solid.
And the second Banshee out on the way for Bbyong.
Actually,
excuse me, Alive.
Yeah, actually, Alive is killing off a lot of these units here, and his Marines, I think, accidentally attacked potentially that Reaper there, or you know, maybe the Banshee got in the vision of that turret. All right, so we have Stim on the way for Bbyong here. Looks like he's going to go into a bio tank force here, while Alive looks like he's going for a very similar composition as well. He's got a medevac here with you know, a platoon of Marines as well, and this Banshee, you know, doing a really good job at you know, kind of distracting those Vikings there. And the Banshee does go down, but will they be back in time in the main base for those Marines with the medevac?
Yeah, Alive actually calculating really well at the last second. I don't know if you guys saw in the minimap, but Alive was actually heading towards the Vikings, and he realized that at the last second because of the Banshee, dropped all of his Marines now, and now going to work towards the walk towards his opponent's base.
Oh, actually Alive getting a few good hits on those Hellions. They're taking out 2 almost instantly, but you know, then again, both players are going for that Marine tank unit composition. Also, Bbyong ahead in the worker supply by a pretty good amount, 45 to 37 at this point. But Alive, he's got way more Marines.
Well, and also he has 3 command centers, so that SCV difference within like 1 or 2 minutes is not going to even matter anymore.
Exactly. So when that command center does go to that 3rd location, I feel like Alive will be able to take an economic advantage here because we still don't see a 3rd command center from Bbyong.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I think Alive is actually taking lead in this game. I have to say, he has a complete map control with the medevacs and few Marines around the map. He picked up tons of Hellions thrown free by Bbyong. He has a 3rd command center, and if I remember correctly, Alive was going for the +1/+1, while Bbyong only had +1 attack happening. And look at this, Bbyong's 3rd command center is much later than his opponent's.
Indeed it is. Already Alive starting to catch the Marine count, and actually very smart, sniping off that Viking there, and you know, he's just going to move back now. He's already forced Bbyong a little bit out of position here, and that's just got to be annoying. You know, you had your Viking on low ground, and you kind of lost it to nothing. But of course, now it looks like supply-wise, Alive has actually managed to get ahead. I have to say, you know, that third command center choice early on has really started to pay off in dividends at this point.
Oh, that was fantastic, and also the Hellions that were thrown away, that was a mistake by Bbyong, and you know, that supply, he could have just saved it up for the late game and then used it in his composition. And look at this, Medevac trying to get away from the Stim Marines.
Yep, fortunately, they won't be able to do anything about that. So now, essentially, at this point in the game, you know, it's a little bit more passive players trying to poke and prod at each other, but you know, Terran, it's a very good race at being defensive. You have units like the siege tank, you have the medevac, you have bunkers, things that are just good at keeping you alive for as long as possible. Repair as well from the SCVs. So a lot of the times that's why you'll see at certain points in TvT where players will just kind of sit back and be passive for a bit.
You know, Olive was pushing out for a little second, and I think it's a great idea for him to sit at that bridge with the siege tanks and just deny his opponent from pushing out. Yes, he will be able to expand towards the 3 o'clock position, but to get the expansions beyond that, you need to break the bridge. That's the, you know, the feature of Fighting Spirit.
All right, we have 2 medevacs full of units moving in here. They're getting close to those siege tanks, and it decides like they are going to turn around. Also, Bbyong is taking his third as well to match Alive in the economy war now, but just looking at the supplies here, actually, look at Bbyong. He is floating so much resources at this point. He's got almost 1,500 resources in the bank here, and Alive doing a lot better at controlling his resources.
And that, the Marine count pretty much tells the story on how terrible Bbyong's macro was during that small point of time.
I noticed that as soon as I started talking about it, I think Alive heard me through some secret earpiece or something. He's like,
well,
Bbyong, and he's like, oh crap, let me go ahead and macro now. He goes like from 1,500 resources like to 0 over the course of like 10 seconds.
Yeah, look at the Marine count, 70 Marines by Alive to only 53 of Bbyong's. And if I remember correctly, I think Bbyong does have the better upgrades, but Alive doesn't have the good positioning.
Alive forced to lose 1 tank there. He does siege up, he still has a superior Marine count as well, and the tank count was equal, now 1 in the favor of our CJ Terran, but Alive, is he going to try to engage her? I'm not sure if that's the right decision.
Seems like he just wants to slowly poke up and slowly slowly start building up the tank line in front of his opponent's base. And, you know, for the time being, it's okay for Bbyong. He could actually deny Alive from pushing forward, but if this happens for the next 5 minutes or even the next 10 minutes, Bbyong cannot take an extra base.
Exactly. Having that position there is so key in TvT. The tank lines, essentially, that it becomes a huge part of TvT when you get into the scenario. If you're not, you know, going for a lot of air units later on, like battle cruisers or, you know, mass like Raven and Viking, then the siege tank lines, essentially, that is the deciding factor in this matchup.
And that's the reason why Bbyong... okay, so one of the reasons why Bbyong is taking the 5 o'clock right now, actually, there's a drop at the natural.
Drop at the natural. It's not going to accomplish much, though. Bbyong has way too many units there, ready to defend, although a few units were killed off here. And now Bbyong, he's moving across the map with a double medevac full of Marines there, but Alive, he is repositioning himself near that 3rd base here, and it looks like we're going to see some new siege tank ridges created.
Yeah, well, Bbyong, well, hold the dot.
Okay, so the Marines, they're doing a lot of damage. The high ground is definitely helping out Alive, but Alive does not have any medevacs there, and Bbyong able to get through here due to the fact that there are no medevacs at that location, but these Marine reinforcements are going to be able to scare those units away, at least for now, but the medevacs do boost out of there, and they don't completely die.
One thing I want to commend about Bbyong is that he knows how TvT works out, you know, late game with the siege tank lines. He already took the 5 base, but it seems like both players are repositioning once again.
Both players are repositioning, and it looks like Alive is getting a much better trade here, killing off a crap ton of siege tanks here. And now I think Alive, he tastes blood, and he wants to go straight for the main base. SCVs being pulled off the mineral line, but these 2 siege tanks are not going to be enough to deal with these Marines. Alive moving in, and he's going to deal a critical amount of damage here. Also, we still have the siege tanks positioned near the middle of the map there, essentially forcing Bbyong to, you know, move around the long way to defend.
Oh yeah, and even the siege tanks being in a perfect position, denying them from going to the natural, getting those Marines, and behind this Alive, he didn't take any economic loss. Look at this, he's still sitting on 3 bases, he's slowly pushing up, he could form the siege tanks around here, and all he has to do is sit there, macro up, and force Bbyong to suicide his units into this incline.
Just look at the supply difference here, 168 to 100, and and one essentially there, and that's it. GG. Bbyong concedes. He knew that he just suffered too much damage there. Alive takes that game, making it a 3-1 situation for Evil Geniuses Team Liquid.
So yeah, Alive, in the beginning of the game, he didn't deal that much economic damage against his opponent. So he decided to go for the third command center, risking it, and it paid off. His opponent did not see the third command center, just played it a little more passive, and as time went by, we saw Alive getting more supply, getting more Marines, getting better upgrades, and eventually he took the lead of the game, the map control, and formed the Siege Tanks line wherever he wanted.
You could just tell that Alive has more experience in how to properly engage in TvT. I felt like he saw one little hole of defense in his opponent,